When preparing students for an exam, it's very important to know how it's marked. In PTE General, each skill is scored out of a maximum of 25 score points. Because the written test consists of listening, reading and writing, the final result will range between 0 and 75 score points. In the PTE General written test, in most sections, the items are marked as either correct or incorrect. Each item has a weighting of 1 score point, with no half points. So you know that, for example, if there are 8 open-ended questions in section 6, the maximum result for this section is 8 score points. This is not complicated at all, and most teachers use pretty much the same system in their tests. However, 3 sections, 2, 8 and 9, require a different approach. These are based on a system of partial credit scoring. Let's take a closer look at that system. Let's start from section 2, dictation. In this section, a test taker can achieve a maximum of 10 score points. 5 for listening and 5 for writing. Now the question is, how are those score points awarded? The listening. If you want to know how many score points, from 0 to 5, should be awarded for listening, you simply need to know 2 things. Firstly, what the total word count is. And secondly, how many words have been understood correctly. What does that mean, a word has been understood correctly? Remember, these are points for listening, not for writing, so you mark the following words as correct. Obviously, all the words that match the key. Then also the words the test taker has attempted to write phonetically but misspelt. And also the words that are recognizable and make sense in the context, albeit with spelling mistakes. How do we calculate the final score point result for listening then? Let's say the total word count in a given dictation is 40. Test taker A wrote 40 correct words. Their result is 100%. Test taker B wrote 30 correct words. Their result is 75%. Test taker C wrote 10 correct words. Their result is 25%. How does that now translate into score points from 0 to 5 for listening? Well, test taker A's result was 100%, so they receive a maximum of 5 score points for listening. Test taker B's result was 75%. 75% out of a maximum of 5 score points averages out at 3.75. We want the result to be 1 digit, so we round it up. Test taker B receives 4 score points for listening. Test taker C's result was 25. And 25% out of a maximum of 5 score points is 1.25. Now this time we round the result down. Test taker C receives 1 score point for listening. Let's look at the writing. Here also a score point from 0 to 5 is awarded. And the system is very similar. You simply need to know 2 things. Again, what the total word count was, and also how many words have been spelled correctly. Remember, the words here must match the key, and the spelling must be 100% correct, although variations of English spelling are accepted. How do we calculate the final score point result for writing then? Let's take the same dictation and the same test takers. You remember that the total word count is 40. Test taker A wrote 40 correct words and all of them were spelled correctly. Their result is 100%. Test taker B wrote 30 correct words, but only 20 were spelled correctly. So 50%, 20 out of 40, of the total word count was spelled correctly. Test taker B's result is 50%. Test taker C wrote 10 correct words, but only 4 were spelled correctly. So 10%, 4 out of 40, of the total word count were spelled correctly. Test taker C's result is 10%. How does that now translate into score points from 0 to 5 for writing? Test taker A's result was 100%, so they received the maximum of 5 score points for writing. Test taker B's result was 50%. 50 out of a maximum 5 score points is 2.5. We round the result test taker B receives to 3 score points for writing. Test taker C's result was 10%. 10% out of a maximum 5 score points is 0.5. We round the result test taker C receives up to 1 score point for writing. The mark for listening in section 2 is added to the scores obtained for the other listening sections, 1 and 3, to give a listening score out of 25. The mark for writing in section 2 is added to the scores obtained for the other written sections, 8 and 9, to give a writing score out of 25. Let's see then how marks are awarded in section 8 and 9. The system of marking is the same in both sections. The performance is measured against the following categories: meeting formal requirements, completing the task, range, accuracy, coherence and cohesion, orthographical control, and additionally each section is assessed against one different global criterion associated with the trait. In section 8 it's written interaction, and in section 9 it's written production. Let's look at the categories one by one. The first two are easy to apply and they do not require a lot of analysis. Meeting formal requirements. Here a maximum of 2 points can be awarded. 1 point for writing within the tolerated word count for the task. You can find the table with the tolerated word limits in the score guide document that is available from the PTE website. 1 point for the correct response format. So if the task is a diary entry, it means that a test taker has to apply an informal style and there has to be a first-person narrator. If the text is too formal or it's written in third person, it will not be awarded any points. Completing the task. Again, a maximum of 2 points will be awarded here, but the question is how the points are distributed. Let's imagine that there is a task in which test takers have to write a postcard to a friend saying where you are, who you are with, what you are doing. Let's take a look at 3 test takers. Test taker A. This test taker included all 3 pieces of information: where you are, who you are with, what you are doing. In their postcard, they received the maximum of 2 points. Test taker B. This test taker included 2 pieces of information in their postcard. They didn't write what they were doing. This is worth a score of 1 because not all aspects of the prompt have been considered. Test taker C. This test taker wrote a postcard in which there is no required information. Such response will deserve a score of 0 as there is no engagement with the prompt. Now it's time for the analytic criteria: range, accuracy, coherence, orthographic control. Here the marker analyzes the text against some descriptors, can-do statements, and they award points depending on how well the text matches the descriptor. You can find the descriptors for each criterion at each level in the score guide document, which is available from the PTE website. How are the score points awarded? The rule is very simple. 1 point if the text is below the level of the descriptor, 2 points if the text is just at the level of the descriptor, very poor but still within the level, 3 points if the text clearly matches the level of the descriptor, 4 points if the text is almost at the level of the next descriptor, very good but still within the level, and 5 points if the text is above the level of the descriptor. A score of 0 is given for a task where there is no response. The response is totally irrelevant, or the response is in a language other than English. To show how the analytic criteria work, let's look at the postcard we have already discussed. This is level A1 exam section 8. The coherence descriptor for level A1 reads as follows: can link words or groups of words with basic linear connections like and or then. Let's analyze 5 different test takers. Level A1, test taker A. This is 1 point for coherence. The text is below the level of the descriptor. The test taker didn't show that they can use basic connectors because there are no connectors at all. Level A1, test taker B. This is 2 points for coherence. This text is within the descriptor. The test taker shows some ability to use the basic connector and, but still there are places where it's omitted and might be expected. Level A1, test taker C. This is 3 points for coherence. The text clearly matches the descriptor and the test taker shows they can use the basic connector and anytime it's necessary. Level A1, test taker D. This is 4 points for coherence. This text is almost at the level of the next descriptor. The test taker shows some signs that they can use not only the basic linear connector AND, but also another frequently occurring connector, BUT. And this BUT matches the descriptor from the level above, level 1. Level A1, test taker E. This is 5 points for coherence. This text is above the level of the descriptor and it matches the descriptor from level 1. Can link groups of words with simple connectors like AND, BUT and BECAUSE. This procedure of analytic marking is repeated with every criterion: range, accuracy, coherence, orthographical control. The same procedure is also applied to the global criteria associated with specific sections. Written interaction for section 8 and written production for section 9. The total result for each section, 8 and 9, is then converted to the final score point result, which ranges from 0 to 10. This way, each test taker may be awarded from 0 to 25 score points for writing. Section 2, dictation, from 0 to 5. Section 8, correspondence, from 0 to 10. Section 9, text, from 0 to 10.